I'm Fresher from Level Recordings. Today I'm going to be going through a tutorial of how to make THOR a very customizable effects unit using your own waveforms, samples, anything of that sort of nature to create complex LFO shapes, as well as using it as a ring modulator source. So you'll be able to create some very outlandish sounds, very good for dance oriented sort of music again, or for your atmospherics and things like that. I'll be going through and building it from scratch using Record, but this will also work in Reason 4 and Reason 5, and I'll keep the modules fairly simple so you can get the understanding. There will be some pop-ups as we go as well, so you'll be able to see exactly what sort of things ring modulation does, because some people can't get their heads around it, and it took me a little while to actually realise how it works. Just basically pulling samples apart, and from this I can actually show you how to create your own effect unit using these methods. So hopefully you'll enjoy this as much as the last one, if not more, and this may give you some quite good ideas of how to create and start messing around with your own audio construction, designing your sounds from scratch but creating your own distinct flair about it. So sit back and I hope you enjoy this one. Okay, we're in Record and create a Combinator. Inside the Combinator, create one THOR, and you also need to create two Subtractors for this example, and also a Spider Audio Merger Splitter, purely for creating a dual mono signal coming out. Show the programmer on THOR. Turn the analog oscillator to off, so there's no oscillators in any of the slots. Turn off the filter path, so we don't want any signal going through here. Turn the filter off, but we need the shaper for its effect to the audio that we're going to send in. So change from soft clip to rectify. I'll explain what this does in a second. All of the settings should be okay. Just to make sure, put up the amp envelope decay fully up, sustain fully up, and the attack and release fully down. Go to Subtractor 1, rename it and call it Mod for modulator. Change the waveform to sine, octave to 1, polyphony to 1, open the filter fully up. It shouldn't have an effect, but just in case. Turn the level fully up, and the amp envelope have decay and sustain fully up, release and attack fully down. Filter envelope velocity setting turn off because we're not using nothing else, and that's it for that preset. Right click, copy patch, and then right click, paste patch on the second one. Rename this to sound, as this is the sound we're going to modulate. Change the waveform to square, change the octave to 6 for this example again. Everything else should be already set. Now when you press the keys, nothing actually comes out because we need to wire up the audio. In the back you can see that THOR's already wired up, but there's no sound, so we're going to ditch that audio, we don't need that. Hide the programmer for the moment. We'll take the mod sound signal and put it into audio in 1. From the modulation output, take CV1 and send it to the sound subtractor amp level, and turn the trim knob fully to the right, so it's at 127. Take the audio signal out of sound subtractor into Spider Audio Merger and wire 2 split signals to the left and right, and this will just bring it back into stereo. Now we need to still program the sound because we're getting the notes triggering but it's not really doing anything. So your source on your modulation matrix needs to be set to audio input 1, so the signal is coming from here and it's reading signals from the socket. Turn your filter up to 100. Send the destination to filter 1 audio input. There's no filter, but it still has open sockets. It's like extra wiring sockets inside here. Now, because there's no filter affecting the sound, it's going straight into the rectifier. Now, what the rectifier is doing is it's converting all negative signals into positive. So there'll be an example image coming up shortly where the sine wave will be, when it's rectified, it actually turns into a double hump. From there, from the shaper, we need to tell it what else to do, because it's going into this arrow and not going anywhere because there's still no actual sound coming out. So select shaper for slot 2, send 100% and send it to CV output 1 as we've just wired up just now. Now you hear it pulsing. When it's pulsing, it's basically following the sine wave. So as I turn up, it's modulated. It's like technically the same as like the LFO, but it's not doing it to a sync, it's doing it to an oscillator frequency. So when I turn up even faster, you hear it starts to purr, then it gets a bit more gritty. You do get to a point where it sounds like it's not doing anything, but it actually is. It still has some sort of effect on the sound. So you can still hear sections going on in the sound that it's affecting. Now, to create this same sort of sound in a standard subtractor just on its own, you would simply use these settings: waveform set to sine, second oscillator set to square, set to osc1 for oscillator 2, and octave 1 for oscillator 1, so it matches up this and this. Set ring mod on, turn the mix fully to the right, open up the filter, open up the volume, and you're getting exactly the same sound. It's doing exactly the same thing. This in mind, if you change the mod subtractor to any sample that you like, could be your own voice or anything else like that, your voice will be rectified, so it's all positive signals, and it will basically ring modulate to the shape that you desire. So you've got a lot more controls. Not only do you have the standard settings, like for a THOR setup you could have the sine, square, octave 6, octave 1, and did the AM here. This will do exactly the same thing. So with this, you've only got a set list. You've got all your waveforms and everything that you can select from and have alternatives, but if you want to put in your own, you can now do that. So if you followed this simple setup, it'll work that way. I'll do it with the next example so you can see exactly what's going on, but other than that, hopefully this will give you some hindsight into what ring modulation actually is. Okay, now if I catch up with you in the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to see some more tutorials of how to get even more weird and wonderful sounds out of Reason and Record. Thanks for watching.